Today, since we are in the holiday season, I'd like to address a couple of financial thoughts that I think will help you stay the course of your financial goals during this holiday season. You want to join the conversation? Well, go ahead, tap in, let's get into it. As we talk about financial thoughts, I think we should consider during the holiday season. I'd like for you to know the reason why we are talking about this. The reason why is to help people alleviate some of the stress, frustration, and even anger people feel during the holiday season. And so I like for you to consider these thoughts so those won't be a part of your life. All right. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the first thought I think you should consider. The first thought I would like for you to consider is to avoid holiday debt. Listen, y'all, avoid the urge of going into debt to try to please others. Listen, I completely understand the desire to get your family, your kids, your friends gifts that will light up their eyes. However, we can't keep putting ourselves on fire at the expense of other people's wants, especially if we desire a better financial future. How can we help others if we are not in the best position ourselves? We have to begin to consider the lessons and the things that we're doing that we're teaching the people that are around us. Is it more important to go into debt for temporary pleasure? Or is it better to sacrifice now so that we can have a better life later? Listen, I'm not saying you're not supposed to have fun and enjoy the holidays. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is we need to be mindful and we need to be careful of getting into debt in order to do so. Because if you don't have a plan to take care of that debt, all it's going to do is bring back fear, panic, frustration, and anger later because of the decisions you made for a temporary pleasure. And so I want us to consider this holiday season not going into debt to try to do things that we can't afford to do so that it won't affect us later on and we can continue to build for a better financial future. All right. So take into consideration not going into holiday debt so that you won't create any problems down the line. What do you think about holiday debt? Do you think you should avoid it at all costs? Have you had a situation where holiday debt came back and gave you fear, frustration, and panic after the fact when if you would have made a better decision in the first place, you wouldn't have found yourself in that situation? I like to know your thoughts about that down in the comment section. Let's start a conversation around holiday debt so that we can help some people out so that we can have better financial futures. All right. And while you're down there, why don't you go ahead and do me a quick favor? Why don't you go ahead and hit that like button? Go ahead and start sharing. Go ahead and subscribe or follow. And if you don't mind, go ahead and hit that notification bell so that you can be alerted every single time we drop a new video. We appreciate it in advance. Now, let me give you another thought that I think you need to consider that will absolutely upgrade your life and have you thinking a little bit differently about the holidays so that we can have better financial futures. All right. So let's go ahead and hop into this next thought. The next thought I would like for you to consider is consider getting gifts that have a long term effect rather than short term pleasure. Listen, there's nothing wrong with you buying clothes, toys, and things that we enjoy and have fun with. But why don't we take this into consideration? When we buy those toys, why don't we buy a stock for each toy? How about we gift somebody a gym membership? How about we set up an investment account or maybe even a savings account for our kids that will have a better long term effect rather than just some temporary pleasure? Now, again, I'm not opposed to getting toys, not opposed to getting things that we enjoy, but why don't we do this? Because you can actually do both. Instead of getting five toys, why don't we get two toys and a stock for each one of the toys? That's just a simple thought. Or instead of doing the dinner, which is okay as well, but why don't we invest in our health so that we can live longer and say, hey, It's not that I'm saying that you're out of shape or trying to talk bad about you, but all of us need to stay in shape. Why don't I give you a gym membership, or we start walking together, or we start working out together? Those kinds of gifts I think have better long-term effects rather than just some simple short-term pleasure. And I know this isn't a common thought, and I know this isn't something that is always talked about around holidays and Christmas, but I like for us to start considering things that'll give us better long-term effects rather than just short-term pleasure. And the only way that you can change the thought around that is if you are intentional about that. This is your legacy. This is your life that you're living. Do you want to just consider and keep having things that are short-term pleasures, or would you rather have things that affect you long term that'll make you better in the end? So I would like for us to start considering getting savings accounts, buying stocks, getting gym memberships, all these different kinds of gifts that aren't typically talked about or typically not discussed, that will have us have a better long-term effect on our lives rather than some short temporary pleasure. I really like the idea of you investing with your kids, showing them to say, hey, if you really like this toy, why don't we invest in it? So as things get better and bigger for the toy company, you have an invested interest in it as well. And it's also making you money rather than you just destroying this toy over a period of time and then you no longer liking the toy and things like that. Because we've all heard stories of us getting toys on Christmas and things on Christmas that we really didn't want, and we did want, we enjoyed it, and we enjoyed it for a couple of days, and then it's off on the shelf somewhere, never ever to be used again. Well, the beautiful thing about a stock, or the beautiful thing about an investment, that thing is going to continue to grow even when you're not paying attention. And so while you instead of buying five toys, why don't you get three toys or two toys and then buy two stocks of that toy, so that if you ever get tired of that toy, you will still have something that'll benefit you in the end and have you in a better situation, or your child in a better situation later on, and not just a temporary enjoyment. Does that make sense? So I like for us to consider the gifts that will have a better long-term effect rather than some short-term pleasure. All right? Think about that. Man, I know that last thought just came out of nowhere for some of y'all, right? Because the first one that we talked about, avoiding debt, that's probably a pretty common one. But the second one you may have not have considered. So, what do you think about the two things that we talked about today? Do you think avoiding holiday debt and long-term versus short-term gifts, do you think those are good thoughts to consider during the holiday season? I like to know your thoughts down in the comment section. Seriously, let me know what you guys think about what we shared today, so that we can have a good financial conversation around both of those two things. All right. And if you want more financial coaching so that you can have a better financial life, I like for you to get involved in my coaching calls. And all you got to do is check the links in the comments and check the links in the description, so that you can start getting coaching calls so that you can have a better financial life. All right. We're talking about giving gifts. That's something that you may want to consider, gifting somebody who you think may need financial help. Go ahead and purchase for them a call. Go ahead and purchase for them things that you think will help them be better in the end. All right. So if you want to gift them that, all you got to do is check the links in the comments and check the links in the description. All right. I appreciate you guys so much for checking out this video today. I appreciate you guys engaging with this video all the way to the end. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. Peace.